Xin chào, and welcome back to Strike Fighters 2 North Vietnam. We're back flying MiG-17s with the 921st Red Star Fighter Regiment, First Flight Section A. Beyond the expectation of the American government, the American war has now dragged into its fourth month, and we've been doing pretty good so far. Luckily, their policy of gradual escalation has given us North Vietnamese pilots a chance to kind of get our combat legs under us without being overwhelmed. So overall, we've been doing pretty good. We have another interception mission today, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. The date is June 14th, 1965. This is 33 days since our previous mission back in May, so another month has passed. Our mission objective is to intercept an enemy flight approaching Dong Suong, prevent the enemy flight from reaching its target. Call sign will be ASP. We'll be flying 4 MiG-17 Fresco A's. Takeoff time of 12:45. Over the intercept point at 12:51, back to Phu Quien by 1:03. Taking a look at the loadout, back in aircraft 1030, I've mounted 2 400-liter drop tanks and 2 S5 57mm air-to-air rockets. If you'll recall, I had them loaded during last mission and then forgot that I had them on board, so I never fired them. So we'll make more of an effort to remember that I have them today, and maybe we'll get a hit. I got a hit with them in the first mission, but they are hard to aim, especially at these small fighter-sized targets. They were originally designed with bombers in mind, so a little bit harder to shoot at fighters, but we'll give it a shot anyways. Total takeoff weight, as we leave the runway today, will be 13,210 pounds. Here's our map. We'll be departing from Phu Quien, just north of Hanoi, circling out to the east as we gain altitude back up to 3,000 meters once again. As we cross over the Red River, we'll then head southwest, down past Dong Suong Airfield, and then south to our intercept point, which is just north of the Nam Ma River, and slightly northwest of the city of Tan Hoa, down there on the coast. After the interception, we egress up to the north, and then we circle back around over Hanoi to land at Phu Quien from the west. Let's take a moment to check in with our 921st Sao Zo Fighter Regiment, and just look at our numbers here. We've had some fairly successful missions, but we have also lost aircraft, so you can see that our strength is down to 19, with only a 28% supply. Unlike the Americans, the Vietnamese People's Air Force is very tight on both pilots and equipment. Our first MiGs were gifted to us by the Soviet Union, and it was a very limited number. We also have a limited number of pilots. North Vietnamese pilots were sent to both the Soviet Union and China for advanced fighter training in the new jets before returning to form this first fighter squadron, the 921st. So even though China and the Soviet Union will continue to supply us with aircraft and missiles and ammunition, those supplies don't get here in a timely manner. So preserving aircraft is sort of an issue, and preserving pilots is an even bigger issue. So yeah, we're down to 19 planes. Still have a fairly full squadron. I think we've only actually lost 1 pilot so far. We've had several shot down, but I think only 1 has died. So overall, we're doing okay for 4 months in. And at 14 kills, Lieutenant Nguyen Van Coc is still the only known ace in the theater for the moment. Nguyen Van Coc with 14 air-to-air kills will be ASP-1. My wingman in ASP-2 will be Second Lieutenant Trong Hu Vien. ASP-3, the leader of the second element, will be Second Lieutenant Cao Van Trong, and ASP-4 will be our good friend, Second Lieutenant Ho Chi Sam. Ho Chi Sam was our wingman last time. We had a good time with him. Now, before we go out, let's take a look at the context of this particular date and see what's going on during the actual conflict. Way back in the beginning of April, 2.5 months ago, the first SA-2 guideline site was discovered being erected in Vietnam. The first batch of SA-2s had been delivered to the country, along with their Soviet technicians for training the Vietnamese troops to operate the missiles. Since that time, on several occasions, U.S. Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara has rejected the Joint Chief of Staff's recommendation to attack those SAM sites, fearing reprisals from the USSR. In fact, tomorrow, June 15th, McNamara will once again reject the idea of SAM attacks, fearing provoking the USSR into entering the war. By early July of 1965, which is just in 2 weeks, the first SA-2 site will be operational, and the first U.S. aircraft shot down by an SA-2 will be on July 24th, and that'll be an Air Force F-4C. In the meantime, Operation Rolling Thunder will continue its strikes into North Vietnam, extending operations above 20 degrees north latitude, and beginning strikes against our lines of communications. Okay, and that's going to conclude our briefing for today. Once again, another intercept mission. Let's pre-flight our MiG, and we'll meet you out on the tarmac as we get ready to go. Welcome out to runway 9 here at Phu Quyen, just north of Hanoi. ASP-1 is taxied into position, and I'm ready to go. Brakes are off, flight controls are checked and good.
ASP-1, tower, wind 180, ASP-5, clear for takeoff, change to departure.
We've got permission from the tower for takeoff, full power. (150 kilometers per hour). We're looking for a 300 kph takeoff speed. And there's 300 just as we cross in front of the tower. And we're airborne. Gear up. And flaps up. Today, I'd like to share the story of the CBC Band, the group that plays the theme song at the beginning of every episode in this series. I had no idea about Vietnamese music from this time period until I went researching for music to use, and what I found was pretty amazing. The country of Vietnam was split in 1954, only a decade before the war started. Thousands fled to the south, fearing persecution by the communists, and this included many artists and musicians. What resulted was that Saigon became the new heart of a burgeoning Vietnamese music scene, and one of the most popular acts to emerge from it was the CBC Band. They've been called the Vietnamese Partridge Family and the Beatles of Vietnam. The group was comprised of siblings from a poor Vietnamese family originally from the Hanoi area. Their father had been a cook for French officials in the capital. Tung Linh, the lead guitarist for the group, was one of 7 children, and he took an early interest in American rock music of the 1950s. His mother, Mrs. Huang, bought him a guitar behind his father's back. The father wanted his kids to go into honorable professions like medicine or engineering, so when he finally discovered the guitar, he smashed it. However, Lin's mother continued to support the musical interests of him as well as several other musical siblings. The defeat of the French in 1954 led to the Geneva Accords, which split Vietnam into 2 separate countries along the 17th parallel of latitude. When the father died a few years later, the mother moved the family away from Hanoi and into South Vietnam, where she took up work at a naval base in order to support the family. Those days were very hard for the poor family, but Mrs. Huang wanted to see her children happy and nurtured their interest in Western music. Ngoc Lan was an older brother who also played drums in South Vietnam's Navy Band, and he noticed the musical talent in 3 of his younger siblings. In 1963, Ngoc Lan formed the CBC Band with the 4 of them. CBC stood for Con Ba Cu, or Mother's Children. It was their way to honor their mother for all of her support through the years, especially in the area of music. The group was fronted by Sister Bic Luan on vocals, with Tung Linh on guitar and Ngoc Lan on bass, with the youngest brother, Tong Van, playing drums. They were all still only children, and Tong Van was so small at 6 years old that he could barely be seen behind his drum set. Even so, from 1963 to 1965, they played in talent shows all around Saigon, playing covers of popular American music. As American troops began to funnel into Vietnam in earnest, Ngoc Lan saw the opportunity to turn professional and make money playing their music. He got in touch with several local music promoters and began to score gigs at enlisted and officers' clubs. The coastal city of Vung Tau was renowned at the time as the R&R Center in South Vietnam, and was actually so lively that Viet Cong would sneak into the city to relax alongside their American enemies. The CBC Band played several times in Vung Tau early on, joining another sister who was singing there with a different band. She would eventually join the family in the CBC Band as well in 1969. The band began by playing covers of American music. None of the band spoke English originally, so older brother Ngoc Lan wrote out the lyrics phonetically so Bic Luan could learn them by sound. By the early 70s, the CBC Band was on the Army's list of approved entertainment and was making $325 per gig, with double that in tips. They traveled all over South Vietnam and headlined at a club in Saigon that was called the My Phuong Club. Their popularity grew with both the GIs and other local Vietnamese musicians. Demand for the band became so high that they were often playing every night of the week. They continued to learn new songs as they came out, often by specific requests from American soldiers. As they became more confident musicians, eventually they began to write their own original material, which was just as popular. The band sent all of their earnings back to Mrs. Huang, their mother, and eventually they made enough that she was able to quit the cleaning job at the naval base. By 1971, the members of the band were all teenagers, and they played in and helped organize the very first International Vietnamese Rock and Roll Festival to raise money for military families in need. Supported by the Saigon government, the festival was held at the Saigon Zoo and was even covered by the American media. Things would soon fall apart for the band, though, as they were not immune to the war. A Viet Cong bomb went off in the My Phuong Club in 1971, while the band was in the middle of playing Purple Haze by Jimi Hendrix. The bomb brought half the building down. 2 people were killed, and lead singer Bic Luan was badly injured, almost losing her leg. In 1973, guitarist Tung Lin, now 19 years old, received a draft notice and had to report for 6 months of boot camp with the South Vietnamese Army. With the Americans already mostly gone, and the North clearly gearing up for invasion, Tung Lin's future didn't look good. In an effort to save him, Mrs. Huang paid a large bribe to a high-ranking official, and Tung Lin was released from the army. However, both he and his mother began to be harassed as it was suspected that she had bought his release. Worried that Tung Lin would be recalled to the army, his mother got the help of American and Canadian tour managers to organize a world tour for the CBC Band to get them out of the country until things cooled off. It turned out that they would not step foot back in their home country for another 20 years. The band was on the road in Tibet when Saigon fell in April of 1975. There was no word from their mother, who had been in the city. The communist government branded them criminals on the most wanted list for working with Americans, so under threat of execution there was no way they could return home. Now refugees, they tried to apply for asylum in Australia, which was denied. In October of 1975, they were able to enter the United States with the help of Frank Ford, a Vietnam vet who now worked with refugee resettlement. They eventually settled in Houston, Texas. It was 3 years before they could call Vietnam, but when they did, they were finally able to contact their mother. Mrs. Huang had burned all of the band's shirts, merchandise, and tapes to avoid being taken away by the communist government. Through the 80s, the band was able to become American citizens, and then sponsor relatives to emigrate to the U.S. as well. Their mother, who they loved dearly, and who had supported them so fiercely, was finally able to relocate out of Vietnam and rejoin her children. In the 90s, the CBC Band finally returned to their homeland to perform. Since then, they have returned to Vietnam regularly, playing their music for younger generations that have grown up in a world where Vietnam has only been a united country. In addition to their fame in Vietnam as a Vietnamese classic rock band, the CBC Band also has a healthy American following, especially with Vietnam veterans. In 2011, the CBC Band played a special reunion concert for all of the GIs that had been present the night of the Saigon bombing, and they were finally able to finish playing Purple Haze 40 years later. Bic Luan, Tung Lin, and Tung Van all remain in Houston, Texas to this day and still play music. Ngoc Lan, their older brother who originally formed the band in 1963, has since returned to live permanently in Vietnam. Okay, we're nearly at waypoint 4, slightly kissing the bottom of the cloud, so I want to drop a bit of altitude, and we're just going to turn in towards our primary targets, which we can see are 38 nautical miles away. There we go, hit waypoint 4, which is our initial point. Waypoint 5 is the actual intercept point, but we're just going to go past that and make our way to the primary target. They're at 30 miles out now, 12 o'clock. They're about 6,000 feet beneath us. My plan is to make another diving head-on attack run on the enemy formation, and maybe we can score a hit. If not, we're at least dealing with A4s, which don't have afterburners. They're much slower than the F-105s that I was trying to chase last time, which was a bit of a problem. We don't have an afterburner. The Fresco A had the VK1 engine without an afterburner, so we have a bit of a power problem. But with these A4s, even if I miss on the head-on pass, we can roll down underneath and then should be able to pull up and catch them from behind. Target's 15 miles out now. I want to make sure that my wingmen specifically attack this flight of primary targets, so ASP-2 attack my target, and then we'll get Element 2 attacking my target also. I don't want the wingmen getting distracted and going off chasing escorts. I want to hit this primary target, hit him hard on the first pass, try to get a successful mission this time out. Alright, it's go time, so let's ditch these fuel tanks. Fuel tanks are clear, and I'm beginning my dive in on the attack here. As they're 5 miles out. Okay, looks like they're tracking out to my right. I'm not going to get a good angle on the target, so that's fine. Let's just highlight this target back here. We're going to roll underneath them and then back up from below. Something I need to watch out for, one of the failings of the MiG-17 was that it would hit compressibility above 400 knots. So, do have to watch that as we're pointed at the ground at full throttle, but no problem there. Controls didn't lock up, plenty of momentum to swoop in underneath. There's that target flight right above the canopy there. I heard a friendly MiG zoom by. They should be engaging. I don't know if these A4s don't see us, or if they just don't care and they're going to stick on target, but this is lining up to be a perfect turkey shoot. So let's switch to the S-75 air-to-air rockets. Let's try to get a rocket kill. Rockets away! Oh, I thought that second one was going to hit, but it dropped off. Alright, switching to guns, closing up. Short bursts. These damn cannons, of course, have terrible, terrible drop-off because of their low bullet velocity. And my lead computing gun sight doesn't really compute properly for them, so there we go, first hit. Number 4 is down. Number 3 sliding across my sight. He's history. There's the first element. Moving in on the wingman. Miss on him. Here's the leader. Nice and easy. Leader is down. Okay, wingman just for the first time noticing that his flight is getting decimated. He's beginning some basic maneuvers. I've got a missile inbound as I clip him and just pull back to get out of the way of this missile. God damn. Alright, I have no idea where these escorts are, but there's an F4. Wow, right over the top of me. Alright, ASP flight. Engage air. Let's engage those escorts now, and let's get 2 covering my ass, because now we've got phantoms in the air. And this, by the way, is the first time that we've encountered F4s in combat, and this is a bit of a problem. They have so much power from their engines, and we basically have the horsepower of a diesel VW. It's literally impossible for us to keep up with them if they choose to disengage. My only hope is that maybe I can goad them into a turning fight. because obviously we can outturn them, and then maybe I could get close enough. So this guy is sort of in a turn. One of the wingmen's been hit. Not sure where. Mission complete, though. Yes! Excellent. I got 4 of those A4s, and I think one of the wingmen got somebody, too. And maybe today will be our first F4 kill. Wouldn't that be lovely? Okay, he's kind of going straight and level. Looks like he's pulled back the power a bit, so maybe I can trade some altitude for airspeed, come in underneath him. We still have plenty of fuel. He can't see me. He can't know that I'm here. Oh, the smoke trail disappeared, though. That means that he's in full afterburner. He can just walk away from me with that thing. Ground fire coming up at him. Some flak and some tracers from our right. Okay, he's making a turn now. Maybe we can catch him. Oh no, he's firing! He's firing a missile at a friendly from one of the other flights. Hopefully, I'm watching it to see if there's an explosion. Maybe our friend will dodge it. Looks like it's snaking up in the air, so maybe that's the sign of a successful evade. Oh no, someone's taking damage. Shit, I think maybe it clipped him. It's up in the clouds, I can't see anything. Okay, ASP flight. Get back on my wing. Let's try to get everybody together. Oh, I hear flak, and I can see the flashes in the cockpit. There's a bad guy somewhere right near us. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? There's an A4 right underneath us. Look at that. The flashes were illuminating my cockpit. That's what tipped me off. Look at this, and he's right in the perfect position for a diving attack from 6 o'clock. He's making a rocket attack on ground targets, so this is an Iron Hand A4 trying to knock out defenses. We're coming in hot. Leading computing gun sight. Don't fail me now! And you do. Son of a bitch. Fucking A, man. I need to stop using that thing and just stick with the bore sight. Alright, well, fucking too late now. Air brakes out as I'm trying to kind of barrel roll around this guy, get him back out in front of me. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? I can't tell if he's maneuvering or if he's just flying straight. There we go. He's up above me. 12 o'clock high. Flak popping all around him and me because I'm now close to him. Whoop, forgot the air brakes there. That's no good. Now they're back in now. Maybe I can low yo-yo underneath this guy. Oh, looks like actually he has straightened out. Oh, he's making another attack run? Guy, do you not realize there's a MiG on your tail? He must know. Look at that. Oh, look at the... That's pretty cool to see, actually, the rocket attack. There's an SA-2 guideline trail in the background. Friendly SAMs are launching against enemy aircraft right now. As we roll up over the top, right behind this guy. Friendly tracers reaching out, ineffectual, but we're going to line this dude right up. Non-maneuvering A4. That's a hit. There we go. Boom diggity. He is down for the count. And I believe that was my last burst of ammunition. I don't think I have any ammo left. Whoa. Flak bursting all around the burning carcass as that A4 spirals in, crashing into the jungle. And I think I just heard an F4 go by. Not good. So we still have enemy fighters in the area. Look, there's an HQ down to my right. An HQ or a barracks. They're always surrounded by anti-aircraft artillery and flak. So let's head down there and kind of use that as cover, because I don't know where these enemy aircraft are. Alright, let's get the flight back together, what remains of us. We're going to move from the protection of this headquarters to Back My Airfield, which is out there at our 12 o'clock, just at the south end of Hanoi. We'll hop from area to area of flak protection. There's an American fighter just up to my left. Look at that, another SAM launch, right at my 1 o'clock, heading towards something. And that's an American fighter pulling onto my tail from the right. Shit. ASP2, give me some cover, please. I'm just going to scissors back and forth, trying to get closer to the protection of Back My. That dude's back there somewhere. I'm assuming it was an American fighter. It kind of looked like an F4. It looked like it was moving a little fast to be a MiG. Here we go, we're coming right over the airfield at this point. If there is anything following me, he should be getting shot at from the ground. And if it was a friendly, then not a big deal. But look, there's flak everywhere. I mean, there's Americans out there in the area. I can't seem to get my squadron back together. I don't know where they are. I don't know if they're in combat. Oh, there's a missile launch on one of them right now. I just want these guys to get back on my wing. Scurry back to Fujian, everybody. Please, come on. Two missiles at a wingman. Son of a bitch! Fuck, who was that? Oh my god. Only 4 is left. So we've lost 2, we've lost 3. We have an F4 Phantom at 10 miles out, which is sort of far away, but when you think about the fact that they're using these radar-guided Sparrows, that's well within range of a Sparrow. Alright, Ho Chi Sam, my buddy. We're over Fujian. Please return to base, just as fast as you can. Just circle around and land. Let's get on the ground as fast as possible before one of us is shot down, because the area is still thick with Americans. In real life, we would have been protected by this sanctuary area of Hanoi and Fujian. The Americans would not have been allowed to enter or attack us here, but, you know, there's no such restrictions in the game, so we're kind of... Oh no! Ho Chi Sam's been fired at. You better dodge it, you sucker. Oh, there he is. He's right above us. There's Ho Chi Sam, MiG-17. He must be heading to the north, or to the west, to circle around to land. Shit. Hey, Red Crown, can we have any assistance? It was a long shot, but I figured I'd try it. Oh, this sucks that the AI circles out about 10 miles. Oh, fucking A. That's Ho Chi Sam. He just flew over me. And just a few miles behind me, gets hit by a missile and he's going down. Okay, entering the break. I'm really high and really fast, but I'm just in a panic to get this fucking machine on the ground before I get shot out of the air. There we go, landing configuration in the downwind. Looking for American fighters. Okay, he's out to my left at 10 o'clock at 15, which is well within range. I don't know if that may have been the guy that shot down Ho Chi Sam. I'm not really sure where that came from. I was just in the middle of complaining that the AI goes many miles out to then get set up on an extremely long and slow approach to final, which is a very vulnerable time. Very often they'll get shot down while they're in that landing approach. Touch power. Coming over the threshold. There we go, touching down just as we get the stall buffet. Right around 200 kilometers an hour, which is our stall speed. Brakes out. We'll slow down, and we'll make this turn off onto the taxiway here coming up. ASP-1 is clear of the runway. We'll park it here. Another mixed results mission, although the opposite of our last mixed results mission. Somewhere out there to the west, the flaming wreckage of Ho Chi Sam's MiG-17 is buried into the ground. Hopefully he himself made it out. So I guess we have nothing left to do but to head on over to the debriefing room and see how this all turned out. We'll see you over there. Welcome over to the debriefing. Our mission today was to intercept an enemy flight approaching Dong Suong. Prevent the enemy flight from reaching its target, which we did. Flight time was 21 minutes and 21 seconds. Nice short one today. Lots of action during that 21 minutes, though. The result was 4 primary targets were destroyed, 1 additional enemy aircraft was destroyed, 3 MiG-17 were lost. Not such a great thing, but overall rating of success, score of 1400. So as far as the mission planners are concerned, we did a great job today, but obviously at some cost to our squadron. Okay, here's the stats. I fired all 40 of my rounds from the 37mm for 4 hits and 1 kill. I fired 152 out of, I think, 160 rounds from the 23mm cannon for 14 hits and 3 kills. So I had basically 1 more burst in me if I needed it. I fired the 2 57mm air-to-air rockets for no hits and no kills. Second Lieutenant Nguyen, he fired 1 burst for no hits. Second Lieutenant Trong, he fired a couple of bursts for 1 kill. And Second Lieutenant Ho Chi Sam did not fire his weapon at all today as the number 4 man. And then, unfortunately, all 3 of these guys were shot down. Let's go to the roster now and answer the question that's on my mind and see how they fared. Oh, sad news. Ho Chi Sam killed in action. He was caught by that missile at the last minute. We were over the base, so close to home, and then he gets knocked down just west of Hanoi. Oh god, and it just gets worse. Second Lieutenant Trong Hu Vien, also KIA, also taking an American missile. Slightly even more scary, Second Lieutenant Vien was my wingman, so is it possible that he absorbed a missile that may have been meant for me? Hard to tell. I lost contact with all of the wingmen pretty early on, which is not really a great thing. So I don't even know where most people were during all this. Now, despite all this bad news, we have some really good news. Second Lieutenant Nguyen Van Coc, leader of our second element, that was ASP-3, he did get shot down. However, not only did he survive, but he also made the only other kill in today's mission, giving him 5 air-to-air kills. He has now joined me as the second ace of the 921st. In fact, I'm curious to see what he shot down, so let's take a peek at the log and just see what he got. So we know that I destroyed those 4 Skyhawks, we saw that. We had an F4 fire a Sidewinder at me at close range. That was the missile that was incoming as I finished off that 4th aircraft. That was a close call. I definitely made a decision to stay for a critical extra second to get the shot in, and that was a calculated risk. Luckily, worked out in my favor. I was able to get the kill and dodge the missile instead of getting hit myself. So, at 12:55 and 37 seconds, Second Lieutenant Trong hit an A4E Skyhawk with his 23mm cannon, shooting it down. Then, let's see, what is that? Only 9 seconds later, he himself was hit by a 20mm cannon from a different A4. So he was attacking one A4, one of the Skyhawk's friends pulled in behind him, blasted him out of the sky. Now, what I would like to know is where the hell was Ho Chi Sam in all this, who should have been on Trong's wing watching his ass? So, not so great element tactics going on today, but like I said, I lost track of everybody myself, so I guess I can't be too critical, because I didn't know where anybody was. But Now here at the end of this mission, this F4B that apparently was just wandering around with impunity over the capital region fired 3 Sparrows at 2nd Lieutenant Vienne, one of which hit him, shooting him down, and then the carcass was hit by a 2nd Sparrow, 2 missiles plowing into him, and then here at 1:03 and 6 seconds, an F4B fired an AIM-7 Sparrow at Ho Chi Sam, who was trying to maneuver into a landing position. 30 seconds went by, so that was an extremely long-distance shot from that Phantom. He was hit by the Sparrow, shot down near Son Tay, west of Hanoi. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for today's mission. Another busy one. We at least got a success out of it. You know, we didn't have to fail another mission. So in that regard, we did some good. Again, mixed results. Definitely some lessons learned today to take away. One, our underpowered, non-afterburning MiG-17s are pretty much useless against F4s. The F4s have the range on us, they have the power, therefore giving them the will to engage and disengage as they see fit. We have no control over that. The best we can do is maybe try to goad them into slow turning fights, but if they have any experience, it's unlikely that that's going to happen. In addition to the advanced American fighters, which kicked our asses today, we completely broke down in our air-to-air element tactics. I lost a lot of situational awareness, not sure where my wingmen were. I kind of chased that F4 in the hopes of a kill, which I think actually dragged me away from where the rest of the squadron was fighting, so that was on me. And then number 3's wingman, Ho Chi Sam, was not in position as an enemy A4 was able to slide in for a gun kill on him. So definitely a bunch of teachable moments today. We're going to take those, and move forward with those. And we lost 75% of the aircraft in the air today, 50% of the pilots. 2 guys killed, 3 aircraft down. We were just looking, at the beginning of the mission at the squadron numbers. We had 19 aircraft. Now we're -3. Aircraft and pilot preservation are going to be key in this campaign. But it is what it is. We can't change it now. We can only try to improve next time. So speaking of next time, I hope you liked this one. And hopefully we'll see you back for the next time out as I do more flying and fighting over the skies of North Vietnam. We'll see you then.